Tax season can feel overwhelming.
But with the right steps, it can turn into a payday you're looking forward to.
In this video, we will cover 4 essential steps to take every time before filing your taxes.
This will help you maximize your returns and minimize your taxable income.
Let's go!
The first and most fundamental thing to do before filing your tax is to know exactly how much money came into your account and collect the right paperwork supporting it. It can be hard depending on your employment situation, whether you're on payroll or contract. This will define your tax filing deadline as well. Most of us are employed on payroll, so you would typically receive a T4 form from the employer. A T4 looks like this, and it is an employer's report of how much money they've paid you, how much income tax they've collected, and paid to CRA on your behalf. This includes the amount of deductions you've made towards things like the pension plan or employment insurance. If you've had more than one job within the year, let's say you are part-time or change jobs, you will have a T4 per each job held. Employers are typically required to submit and send you your T4, but they don't always do, especially if you change your address. It just might get lost. If you haven't received a T4, it can always be accessed and downloaded directly via CRA website. The T4s typically become available in the beginning of the year to give you enough time to prepare for your tax return. If you don't see your T4, just give a gentle nudge to your employer, or it might mean your income tax does not get deducted upon payment. This happens when you're self-employed or on a contract. In these situations, you are fully responsible for paying your income tax at the end of the year. Good news is that if you're self-employed, your tax filing deadline is later, June 15th. This gives you more time to pull all your invoices, client payments, and expenses together and submit your return. We won't go too deep into filing as self-employed in this video, but do let us know in the comments if that's something you would like to see, since we have done a fair share of self-employed reports. So, all in all, here's what you need to watch for: your T4 slip from your employer, or statements of your income, or bank deposits throughout the previous year if you're self-employed. If you've earned investment income or dividends or interest on just holding the money, you will also receive a T5 slip from your bank or the financial institution that manages these accounts. These amounts also must be declared on your income tax return, no matter how small they are. If you went to school that year, you will get a T2202 slip from your school for tuition and education credits. You might also get less common slips like T4A for pensions, SERP or EI payments, and T5008 if you've made investment transactions. This is a list of the most essential documentation to collect before you file your next tax return. Most of these documents can be accessed via the CRA online account. So if you're a student or a newcomer to Canada, make sure you register for it as soon as possible and watch out for slips from the financial institutions that you invest your money with. Pro tip for you here. What I do every tax season is create a folder on the drive or even a physical folder to save the copies of all these slips as they come in. It saves so much time when it's time to file my taxes. The deadline to file taxes for payrolled employees is usually April 30th. But if you're self-employed, you get a little more breathing room until June 15th. But keep in mind, if you owe taxes, the payment deadline is still April 30th, no matter what. I personally get started with my returns as soon as my slips come in, because the earlier I file, the sooner I get a refund if it happens that CRA owes me something, and the earlier I can invest this money to make more money.
The next step is even more important than the first one, because this is where you can potentially get hundreds if not thousands of dollars back, or keep more of your hard-earned money. Once we know how much we've made, we always take a look at what we can deduct from our income. This is where deductions and credits come into play. Canada has dozens of different deductions and credits, and this is where most Canadians leave a lot of money on the table. Let's break this down. Deductions reduce your total taxable income. This means that you get taxed on a smaller amount. Credits, on the other hand, directly reduce the amount of tax you owe to the CRA. Let's say you moved to a new city for work last year. Did you have moving expenses? These are deductible. If you've paid for childcare so you could go to work or school, those receipts are also gold for your tax return. Aside from these few examples, here are some of the most common deductions and credits that Canadians can use. RRSP contributions. These are one of the most powerful deductions out there. We are going to talk about them in a little bit more detail in just a bit. They essentially directly reduce your taxable income and can help you slide into a lower tax bracket and get a nice cash refund for the amount that you were overtaxed on. When you make RRSP contributions, make sure that you check your contribution limit on the CRA account to avoid over-contributing, because that comes with penalties. We've made a video covering RRSP and TFSA in depth, so make sure to check it out if you want to start making contributions in these accounts this year. Next one is medical expenses. And this is a significant one, especially if you've ever faced really high medical expenses in a given year. From dental visits to prescription medications, these expenses can add up quickly. Rules can also change from year to year, but generally, if you spend more than 3% of your annual income on healthcare expenses, you may be eligible to deduct them from your taxable income. Just make sure that you have all the receipts to support your expenses. You can also log on to this page on the CRA website to verify whether or not a specific medical expense that you incurred qualifies for this program. Education credit. If you're a student, your tuition fees might qualify you for a non-refundable tax credit. That's where you'll need your T2202 slip that we've mentioned previously that you'll get from your school to claim this. If you've made any donations to registered charities, you'll get a tax credit for those as well. Just make sure that you have those donation receipts handy. There are more lesser-known deductions than these, so it's always a good idea to keep an eye on the CRA website to see what deductions you could qualify for each year. Here's a pro tip from us. What we do at our home is we keep a running list of all the expenses throughout the year, and we take photos of our receipts as we go, especially if those are big-ticket items like a big dental expense, for example. We personally use Monarch to track of all our expenses. This software is not cheap, and it helps us keep track of all the money that comes in and comes out, and it helps us categorize and understand where we spend more or less. There are plenty of tools more affordable than Monarch that you could check out if you'd like, but if you want to give Monarch a try, you can use our referral link. And if you use it, both you and us will get an extra month free using premium features. One thing that people often forget is that there are also tax credits specific to provinces. Ontario, for instance, has energy savings renovation tax credits. Quebec has a solidarity tax credit for low-income families. Or Manitoba with its homeowners affordability tax credit, which is meant to offset property tax costs. So make sure that you check out your own provincial website for a list of tax credits that your province offers. You can simply Google, let's say, Ontario tax credits and view a list of available programs and see if you can qualify for any. Don't wait until the tax season to track these. The earlier you organize your receipts and records, the smoother your filing process will be. This is especially important if you're self-employed and have a dozen of receipts to sort through.
Now let's zoom in into something we've just mentioned that could have a huge impact on your tax return and your long-term savings: RRSP contributions. It's one of the most powerful deductions available to Canadians, and one of the best ways to get yourself a tax refund. And the best part is that if you are watching this because you want to file your tax return for the last year, it's not too late to take advantage of it even if the year has passed. Check this out. Contributing to your RRSP lowers your taxable income for the year. Let's say you made $60,000, but contributed to RRSP $10,000. You will only be taxed on $50,000. I've used this tool to get into a lower tax bracket and reduce my taxable income for years. If you decide to do it, keep in mind that you can't just contribute any amount. There's a specific limit every year, and if you over-contribute, you will be penalized by CRA. To check your RRSP limits, you can go to your CRA profile or check your notice of assessments from previous years. Generally, your contribution limit is based on 18% of your earned income from the previous tax year, and up to a maximum set by the CRA. For example, for 2024, it was $31,560. So here's the thing, if you're watching this video in January or February, you can still make contributions to RRSP right now, before end of February, and that contribution will be deducted from your last year's income. This means you can make a last-minute contribution right now to maximize your deduction and possibly boost your refund. Don't wait until the last minute. Plan ahead to ensure that the funds are available to move when you need them. Pro tip for you here. This is my favorite tax reduction mechanism to use. Leverage your refunds strategically. When I get the nice refund, I always consider reinvesting that refund back into my RRSP. This creates a powerful snowball effect. It allows me to grow my savings and reduce my taxable income year after year. And by the way, if you're saving for your first home, don't forget about the first home savings account. Its contributions are tax deductible, just like RRSPs. So with all that said, here's your checklist for step 3. Make sure you know your RRSP limits. Plan contributions strategically to maximize deductions. You can contribute to your RRSP up to March 3rd of the following year to reduce your previous year's taxable income. Coming back to the first step, collecting your payment slips is not always enough. It is also important to note any supplemental income you've received, and it must be reported as well. If you, let's say, have a side hustle like doing food delivery or maybe doing math tutoring or even trading crypto, all of it must be declared. The beautiful thing about having a self-employment income is that you can also deduct your expenses associated with generating that income. So make sure you track and record all expenses you incur. This will help offset your overall taxable income, provided you have all the receipts, and your expenses are directly connected to that income. Okay, so now we have all our pay stubs, we know what deductions and credits we're claiming, we've maximized our RRSP and FHSA contributions. Are we ready to file our income tax? Almost.
Before you proceed with the filing, double-check that your address, your marital status, and your direct deposit details are up to date on the CRA website. Filing with outdated info could delay your refund or cause errors in processing. You probably don't want your refund check sent to somebody else living on your old address, for example. So you have all of that out of the way. Now it's time to file. But remember that the sooner you file, the sooner you'll receive any eligible refunds. You can file your tax by hiring a certified professional accountant. They usually take anywhere from $100 to $300 per filing. Or if you want to save that money instead, you can use tax software like Wealthsimple Tax. We made a detailed walkthrough video on how to file tax using Wealthsimple. So if you feel like filing tax on your own, I highly recommend you check that out. I personally love Wealthsimple for its simplicity, and the best part is that you can see your eligible refund approximations in real time, so you won't have any surprises in the end. I'll also leave my Wealthsimple invite link if you want to open an account there. You'll get $25 and I'll get that too. Opening an account is completely free and you can put these $25 into your RRSP right away on Wealthsimple. And remember, the deadline as an employee is April 30th, but don't wait until the last minute. Filing early means getting your refund sooner, as we mentioned before, and it also helps you avoid unnecessary stress associated with scrambling last minute and collecting all your slips. And one last thing, if you owe taxes, filing late comes with extra penalties, so don't procrastinate. When you file taxes, always double-check your numbers, slips, deductions, and personal information before you submit the report to avoid triggering a CRA review. The financial industry is strictly regulated in Canada, so if you've made an income that you didn't report, CRA has a way of knowing that sooner or later. The earlier you file, the more accurate your filing is, and the smoother is the process. If you've got this far in the video, all we ask is for you to gently tap the like button below. It really helps our channel grow. And Maybe share this video with a friend who needs to hear these tips. If you'd like to support our channel, the best way to do this is to subscribe or join us as a member by clicking the join button below this video. This project is fully financed by our own time and money. So if you enjoy our work, your support will help us make better content for you. With all that said, good luck with your tax season. Hope the mighty gods of CRA will bring you a juicy tax refund. Take care, and we'll see you in the next one.